Also Kirill. Perfect.
Sorry for being late.
No problem. Yeah, we can continue. Hopefully, yeah. So far, don't pay attention for this picture, but you'll need it later a little bit to understand better some concept. So today we'll study necessary and sufficient conditions, and you'll see that like necessary and sufficient conditions are really closely related to the conditional statements. So let me write conditional statements. And necessary and sufficient conditions are also related to all statements. So basically, so far you've seen that conditional statements and all statements, they are kind of, interchangeable. You can use, instead of all, you can use conditional, if, and instead of if, you can use all. Also, you'll see the new statements, basically says only. It can start only, or it can start only if, but we will see how to convert only statements to necessary conditions. And only statements are actually also related to conditional statements. If they are related to conditional statements, they are also related to all statements. So like all of these are kind of a, this is kind of a net of relationships. And we'll start with necessary conditions. Let me write necessary. So necessary, you can use the word crucial, important, or must have. So anytime like there is a necessary condition, it means that this is really important. Without this condition, it's impossible to satisfy the statement. For example, you could have something like A is necessary for B. So in this case, A is necessary for B. You can replace A is crucial for B, or A is really important for B, or A is must have for B. So basically it says without A, you cannot receive B. So if A is false, then B will be also false. You can get to B also, like only the way to get to B is to having A. But just having A does not guarantee that you will have B. But it guarantees that if you don't have A, you will not have B. So let me write. A does not guarantee B, but if you don't have A, this guarantees that you will not have B. So basically, A is necessary for B, you can rewrite in this way. If not A, if you don't have A, then you will not have B as well. So this is a conditional statement, right? So A is necessary for B means that without A, you cannot receive B. If you don't have A, then you will not have B as well. So instead of A necessary for B, you can use this notation, conditional statement. Okay, since you have this conditional statement, what else you can say from the statement? Like if this statement is true, what else you can say?
If B, then A.
Perfect. You're taking contrapositive statement. Basically, you are swapping B and A with places and then you're negating them. But since you have double negation, you will just remain if B then A. And basically it's if A is necessary for B, let's imagine you already have B. So if you already have B, it means that you have A as well, because without A, you cannot receive B. All right. So basically, this is the three most important things on necessary condition. The first one, that A does not guarantee B. The second one is that without having A, you cannot receive B. And the third one, if you already have B, it means that you have A. So these are the three properties of A necessary for B. Okay, now let me give you an example so you can clarify it. Let's imagine our A is, let me write the statement. Okay, let's imagine we have this statement, basically. Passing TOLC is necessary for admission. So what we can tell about this statement? We can tell that if you don't pass TOLC, then for sure you will not get admitted. But what else we can say before negating? If you look here.
Passing talk does not guarantee admission.
Yes, perfect. So first of all, you cannot write this. So you can write, if you write if TOLC, then admission, that would be wrong. Because if TOLC, then admission, this is like, let's say, sufficient condition. We'll go to this later. But basically it says, if you have TOLC, then for sure you will get admitted, right? But we know for sure that A does not guarantee B. That's why passing TOLC does not guarantee admission. That's why you write passing TOLC does not guarantee. And this is true, right? Passing TOLC does not guarantee admission because you also need to pass, let's say, IELTS or TOEFL. You also have to write motivational letter. You also have to, let's say, have good GPA, right? You can relate it that you could also have different necessary conditions, like other necessary conditions, not only TOLC, but let's say you have to, let's say, pass IELTS. You have to, let's say, your GPA should be more than 3.5. Let's say you need to write motivational letter, and so on and so forth. Like only having TOLC does not guarantee admission, right? Because there could be another necessary conditions like passing IELTS, having GPA more than 3.5, and writing motivational letter. So this is the first point. Second point is that if you don't have TOLC, let me write just don't as a this sign. If not TOLC, then not admission. So this is the second point. It says, if you don't pass TOLC, then you will not get admitted, because passing TOLC is a necessary condition for admission. Without having TOLC, without passing TOLC, you cannot get admitted, right? If not TOLC, then not admission. And the last point is you just take contrapositive of this. You write if admission, then talk. So the last case says if you already got admitted, then it means that you passed talk, because without passing talk, you could not get admitted. So here is the 3 possible cases. And all right, now my task for you guys is to write a necessary condition. Just try to come up with some sentence, some statement that uses necessary condition. So this is the template. A is necessary for B.
Excuse me, can you show again last sentence? Yes, if admission, then talk. Okay, thank you.
All right. So try to come up with the sentence. Try to come up with a statement using necessary condition. And I will check if it's correct or not. Just write your statement to the chat, or you can tell it using your microphone. I don't know how much time you need it, but yeah.
That's all, yes.
Feel free to write your sentence in the comments, and I will give you a feedback.
Like one of my statements, I could come up with a statement, being 18 plus is necessary for having driver license, for example. If you are not 18 plus, you could not have driver license. Okay, someone wrote the sentence. Drinking water is necessary for staying alive. If you don't drink water, you will not stay alive. Yeah, that's true. Okay, having a ticket is necessary to enter the cinema. Good. If you don't have ticket, then you will not enter cinema. Perfect. Having passport is necessary to travel abroad. Yeah, that's correct. If you don't have passport, then you will not be able to travel abroad. Okay, one more sentence. Knowing grammar is necessary for speaking English. Good. If you don't know the grammar, you cannot speak English. It's a little bit, challenging statement, because still, if you don't know the grammar, you can still speak English, but it will terrible English. But still,
maybe I should say like
fluent English, right?
proper English or something like
Proper
this.
English. Yeah, Yulia, that's correct. Knowing grammar is necessary for speaking fluent English or proper English. Yeah, good. Having legs is necessary to walk. That's a little bit funny, but yeah, having legs is necessary to walk. Good. If you don't have legs, no, I'm not telling it. Having ID card is necessary for going to uni. If you don't have ID card, then you will not be able to enter uni. Yeah, that might be correct answer. That might be correct sentence. Good. Okay. Watching recordings of classes is necessary to obtain minimum TOLC score. Good sentence. I would write, yeah, not only watching, but attending the classes of TOLC is necessary to obtain minimum TOLC score. Good, Malika. Now, okay, one more sentence. Let me see, but maybe not for all. But at least you see the idea. It's a good sentence. Now we try to solve some problems. Before going to sufficient conditions, I'd like to give you a couple of problems to solve. So basically you have a statement, right? And it begins with, it is not true. It is not true is the same as it is false. And anytime you see it is false, it means that you have to negate the statement. So basically your statement is here, this one. It is necessary to be a male to be taller than 170 centimeters. This is your statement. And you have to negate it, right? you have to negate your statement. So let me kind of rewrite your statement in a proper way so that necessary stays in the middle, not in the beginning. So it is necessary to be a male to be taller than 170 centimeters, the same as being a male is necessary to be taller than 170. So you can treat this part as an A, and then you can treat this part as a B, right? This one is A, this one is B. And the main problem of this question is you have to negate this statement, right? Try to negate it. First of all, before negating, what I suggest you to do is to convert it. You can convert it to if statement. You can convert it to all statements as well and see how it goes. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes, we'll do it together.
Feel free to pause the video and try to solve.
Try to use notes, which we did on necessary conditions. So as you know, if A is necessary for B, you will have 3 conclusions, like 3 properties. First one, that A does not guarantee B. The second one is if not A, then not B. And the third one, if B, then A. In your place, what I would do, I would use the second property, which is if not A, then not B, right? And I would kind of convert it to all statements. And after converting to all statements, I know how to negate all statements, and I would negate all statements. And that would be my answer. Okay, we can start to solve this problem together. Actually, I really love this problem because it covers everything like what we've learned here. So here, this is our statement. Being a male is necessary to be taller than 170 centimeters. Basically, this is the same as this, right? And we know that we have to negate our statement. I'll write negation here. But for now, I kind of forget about negation. First of all, I have to figure out, for now, let us forget about negation and let's concentrate on the statement itself. So basically, being a male is necessary to be taller than 170 centimeters. This is the same as A is necessary for B, right? So since A is necessary for B, what we can do here, we can come up to this conclusion. If not A, then not B. Right? If A is necessary for B, without A, you cannot receive B. So since if not A, then not B. So basically, if you are not a male, so this statement means if not male, because A is being a male, if you are not a male, then you are not taller than 170 centimeters. So I'll just leave not, and I'll rewrite not taller than 170. So basically now we've got our new statement, right? If you're not a male, then you are not taller than 170 centimeters. Basically, this statement is 100% the same as this one. Being a male is necessary to be taller than 170 centimeters. It means that if you're not a male, then for sure you're not taller than 170 centimeters. Okay, instead of not male, which word we can use? What do you think? Not writing not male. What we can use in front instead?
Male.
Yeah, good, Yulia. We can use female because not male the same as female and not female the same as male. So now we've got if you are a female, basically it says if you female, I'll not write you, let me just write if female to shorten it. Then you are not taller than 170 centimeters. Then not taller than 170. Okay, now we've got this statement, right? And we have to negate it. We have to contribute not here. In order to contribute not, it's easier to negate all statements, right? Do you agree with me? So in order to negate all statements, we have to convert this statement. If you are female, then you are not taller than 170 centimeters. How we can convert it to all statements?
All females are shorter than 170.
Perfect. Yeah, that's correct. So you can write all females are, I will not write shorter. I'll just leave, not taller. So this is our statement. All females are not taller than 170 centimeters. So basically one here, all females are not taller than 117 centimeters. This is the same as statement as this one. Like being a male is necessary to be taller 170 centimeters is the same as saying that all females are shorter than 170 centimeters or not taller. Okay, now you have to negate it. How would you negate it?
At least one female is taller than 170.
Good. So in order to negate it, you will not leave it like not all females are not taller than 170 centimeters, but you'll contribute not. It will be at least one female, at least one female is, basically you have to contribute not to this part as well. So you'll have not taller than 170, right? And double negation will just cancel out. You can forget about negation. And here you'll have at least one female is taller than 170 centimeters. So this is your answer, basically. This is finally negated statement. And the right answer is A. At least one female is taller than 170 centimeters. Yeah, we can continue on. We can go now for sufficient conditions. So the word sufficient, you can use the word enough to replace it. Instead of sufficient, you can use guarantees as well. Right? Like general form, you could have like this. A is sufficient for B. So if you have A sufficient for B, instead of sufficient, you can write guarantees. So you can write A guarantees B. You could write A is enough for B. And all of them are interchangeably used, right? So of course, it's easier to understand the word guarantees. It's easier to understand the word enough. And basically it says, if your A is true, so for example, if you have A, then for sure you'll have B as well. So if A is true, then for sure B will be true as well. So if you have A, this guarantees that your B will be also correct. If your A is correct, it guarantees that B is also correct. A is enough to make B true. So if you have A, it's enough assumption that B is also true. Okay, let me give you an example. So before going there, like A is sufficient for B, in the language of if conditions, you can write if A, then B, right? So basically this conditional statement is 100% equivalent for this sufficient condition. If you have A is sufficient for B, instead of using sufficient condition, you can convert it to conditional statement. Okay, what else we can tell? We can tell you can get to B without having A. So if you don't have A, let me write if not A, there is still possibility. There is still possibility to get B. Let's imagine you're getting B with another road, let's say with C or with D. So basically A is not the only way to B. There are also other ways to make B true. So you gotta understand this point also. Let me give you an example. Raining is sufficient raining is sufficient to ground to be wet, for ground to be wet. Okay, raining is sufficient for ground to be wet. So in this case, you've got your sufficient condition, right? So basically, if raining is true, right? If you have this one, then it is sufficient to make this one is true. So if raining is true, the ground wet also true. So basically, you can rewrite it as a language of conditional statements. If it is rains, if it is raining, then the ground is wet. Okay, raining is sufficient condition for ground to be wet. This is the same as if it rains or if it's raining, then the ground is wet. Let me write if it rains, it's better. Yes, it's more correct. If it rains, then the ground is wet. Okay, but you could get to the wet ground without having a rain. There is also another way to, let's say, to make ground wet. Let's say there is another way, C, right? Or there is another way, D. Even if it's not raining, you still can have that your ground is wet, right? So raining is not necessary for ground to be wet, but it is sufficient. It is not necessary means that you could still could have this one without having this one. It is not necessary. What is the other way to make the ground wet, guys? What do you think?
Like water in the ground.
Yeah, like for example, the beginning, do you remember we had this small picture? So basically this is the other way to make the ground wet. For example, there is a small boy that is watering the ground. So let's imagine that this is C, another way, and so on and so forth. All right, so anytime you have A is sufficient, where it is, yeah. Anytime you have A is sufficient for B, basically it means that A guarantees B. If your A is true, then your B will be true as well. And also you can use that A is enough to make B true. So if A then B, this is the same as telling that A is sufficient for B. But you could still get to B without having A. So it means that A is not necessary. Anytime A is sufficient, it means that A is not necessary. But sometimes you could have necessary and sufficient condition together. We will see it a little bit later. But for now, please try to come up with some sentence using sufficient condition. Let's see your sentences. You could write to the chat or you could tell using your microphone.
Having a credit card is sufficient to complete payment.
Yes, having a credit card is sufficient to complete payments. You could write, if you have credit card, then you can pay. But you can pay still without having a credit card. There is also another way to pay, which is cash, right? Good, Malika. That's a really good sentence. Tara, you wrote right away the conditional statement. You wrote, if you turn on the light, you will have light in the room. Basically, you could write, turning on the light is sufficient condition that your room is bright, right? But there is also another way to make your room bright, which is, let's say, what's another way except turning?
The sun comes in.
What?
For the sun to come in.
For the sun come in, right? Or if you start to shine and your
Yeah.
it's not right. Okay, going to the gym is sufficient to lose weight. Okay, Yulia, basically it says, if you are going to the gym, then for sure you'll lose weight. Yes, that's correct. But there is also another way to lose weight. Let's say, which is diet. If you, let's say, if you have a good diet, then you will lose the weight. Good. That's a good sentence. Snowing is sufficient to be cold. All right. If it is snowing, then it is cold. But you could get cold even without snowing. For example, let's say it is raining, right? When it's raining, it's also cold. So there is also another other way where it is cold. Having the solution of the problem, it is sufficient to solving it. Okay, if you have the solution of the problem, then you will solve it. But there is also another way to solve the problem, which is, let's say, ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT to solve the problem. Good. Yeah, all of you, I guess, wrote down the sentence. I'm still waiting the sentence from Temirlan. Are you coming up with a sentence?
Wait a second, please.
Yeah. No pressure. Okay, meanwhile, I'll try to also come up with a good sentence. I would write, studying is sufficient to pass exam, right? If you study, then you will pass exam. But you can pass exam with another way. Let's say there is also another way to pass exam, which is cheating, or let's say you give money to professor and you pass the exam. All right, let me see. Winning is sufficient to calm my soul. Wow. Okay. if you win, then your soul will be calm. But there is also another way to make your soul calm. Let's say, what is the another way? You have to be in a good surrounding. For example, if you're with your family having a great time, then your soul will be calm. Good. That's a good sentence. Being a square, okay, this is like a must sentence. Being a square is a sufficient condition for having four sides. If you are like, if the figure is square, then it will have four sides. But still, you could have four sides without being a square. For example, you could be a rhombus or rectangle or trapezoid or other figures that have four sides. And yeah, you could still have four sides without being a square. Yeah, that's a good sentence, Victoria. Okay, then let's try to solve the next, like the first problem on sufficient conditions. Okay, can you see what's written here? Is it readable? Can you read it? If it rains on Palm Sunday, it will be sunny on Easter. Okay, I'll give you some time. Please write your possible answer to the chat as a private message.
Feel free to pause the video and try to solve it.
Good, Yulia, that's correct. Victoria, that's correct. Kirill, that's correct. Yes, Timirlan, it's D. Good, Tara, it's D. All right, like the easiest way to do it is right away start to denote it. For example, if it rains on Palm Sunday, I will denote it as A. It will be sunny on Easter. I'll denote it as B, right? By the way, guys, actually today is Saturday and tomorrow is Sunday and tomorrow is Easter. This is like a really coincidence, you know? Scarce. All right, what I write here, I write if A, then B, right? So if it rains on Palm Sunday, it will be sunny on Easter. So basically, if A, then B, it means if you have A, then for sure you'll have B. So basically, A guarantees B. If you have A, it is enough to make B true. So all these conditions are, this is the sufficient condition actually. This is the same as A is sufficient for B. And again, you can replace back. Instead of A, you could write raining on Palm Sunday is sufficient for sunny Easter. And which is D, rain on Palm Sunday is sufficient condition for sunny Easter. Okay, we can go for next problem.